Hello everyone, Kaoz here, and welcome to another Oldschool Runescape video. Ever since its introduction back in July of 2021, the combat achievement system was designed to take players to their limit, and fight bosses and other powerful monsters in unconventional ways, or at the highest level possible to display true mastery at their respective encounters. I wasn't really interested in going for it because of one particular achievement, but after I got it, it opened the floodgates to me wanting the coveted Zuk helmet. Boys and girls, if you enjoyed this video, make sure to subscribe with notifications on, drop a fat like, and to join our Discord server with the link in the description to get some combat achievements with me and our amazing community. It is no secret that a lot of players believe being a Grandmaster nowadays doesn't really mean that much. You have a lot of powerful weapons, armor, special attacks, quality of life changes, and outside the game, a ton of guides and RuneLite plugins to make the process a whole lot easier. In my opinion, this doesn't really matter too much because you still have to perform, and it's not like a guide will magically get you the CA. In today's video, I will go over the combat achievements I had left when I decided it was time to finish off this adventure. After all, this game is technically my job, right? I will order the combat achievements mostly in order of difficulty, but I will space them out evenly throughout the video because most of them are TOB. I will give you a quick explanation of each of the achievements and what helped me get them. So that being said, let's begin. Or rather, let's begin after telling you a little bit about the Grandmaster grind, and when I thought I could potentially go for it when it comes to solo challenges. It took me so long to get this done because I am not a big fan of group content. I don't like chambers, I always thought of TOB as something more intimidating to avoid letting my team down, and the Tombs of a Mascot is the only thing I am 100% comfortable with, whether it be solo or in a group. I remember getting the elite tier of combat achievements and thinking, okay, this is pretty much my limit. And then I kept doing a few challenges and then I hit the master tier a while ago. And then I thought to myself, okay, Grandmaster is pretty much off the table because I just have zero interest in doing things like chambers or TOB. It wasn't until I started grinding a few combat achievements I thought I would never be able to do that I actually got into the mentality of, okay, maybe this is possible. If you have ever thought about getting Grandmaster, I would personally say that as long as you can complete these challenges which don't include any raids, you have a fairly good shot to improve more and more on your way to that coveted Zuk helmet. These solo combat achievements include the Inferno, the Tesseract challenges, the Fortress Coliseum, the Gauntlet and Corrupted Gauntlet, the Fosani's Nightmare, and when it comes to individual combat achievements, as long as you have what it takes to defeat all 4 Awaken the Desert Treasure 2 bosses, I would honestly say there's nothing stopping you. The Inferno will have you doing things like no pillars falling before Zuk, not letting your HP fall below 50 for the entire run, not letting the melee minions dig to you at any point, and what I would consider 2 of the most difficult ones, Melee Inferno, as well as the speedrunning achievement for which you will have to do the Inferno in under 65 minutes. The Tesseract challenges have you doing mostly time-based achievements, as well as things like having nothing in your inventory, killing 3 Jads each with a different combat style, and arguably one of the most difficult ones in the entire combat achievement system, completing the 5th and 6th challenges back-to-back without dying. For some people the 5 Jad challenge can feel a little harder than 6, but as long as you can kill 6 Jads, I would say you're pretty cracked at the game. I would honestly say that the Fortress Coliseum achievements are the most fun out of the bunch, because they require a ton of skill and will have you doing things in unconventional ways. Achievements like showboating are quite interesting, but the one that takes the cake is reinforcements. For this one, you will need to defeat the Soul Heredit while having Beast 2, Solar Flare 2, and the Quartet active. To say that this was frustrating would be an understatement, because when you actually get the invocations you need, it is now time to perform and do the Soul Heredit fight with these things on the arena. When you get good at the Gauntlet, I don't think there's any combat achievement that will make you want to pull your hair out. Except for the Grandmaster times. I already knew what I was getting myself into, so I didn't get that mad when I had to reset every 30 seconds. But when you finally get the God Run, performing at the Hundliff and the RNG being on your side is honestly extremely nerve-wracking. You need to find literally everything you need in the first 2 or 3 rooms to know if you have a run on your hands. 3 tier 1 monsters for a weapon seed, all 3 types of resources, 2 herbs, and a minimum of 2 pools of fish. Now, if you have all of this, you still have to pray that you get either a dragon or a dark beast for your demi-boss room. If you're able to get everything within 2 minutes, the Hundliff is next. I won't talk too much about this because it's not really a guide, but I followed the 5-to-1 method where you go in with a mace, a bow, and a staff, and hit the Hundliff with one of your tier 1 weapons when it's about to swap prayers, so you can use the most powerful one throughout the fight. If you can do this not only for the Corrupted Gauntlet, but for the regular version as well, this will be a huge weight off your shoulders. I vividly remember telling myself I would never get Grandmaster because doing the Phosani's Nightmare casually, I had no idea how people were able to kill 5 of these things in a single trip without banking. Long story short, when I started getting good at it, and after getting the perfect Phosani KC, as long as you bring an SGS, a Sanguinesti staff, and a bunch of Sandviews, 5 kills per trip is not as impossible as it looked before. If you can get this combat achievement, I would say you are pretty good at the game. And honestly, any person who can get Blood Torva by defeating all 4 Awaken the Desert Treasure 2 bosses is deserving of Grandmaster. Or at least you know you have what it takes for the Zug helmet after these grueling fights. It honestly doesn't get any harder when it comes to mechanics, and until the release of Yama and the Otso Ayak coming in the future, in my personal opinion, the enraged phase of the Awakened Leviathan is the most difficult thing this game has to offer. So, after this yapping session, time to talk about all the combat achievements I had left when I decided it was time to go for the Zug helmet. To give you a little spoiler, remember how my bar just kept rising when I told myself I would never do this? The Phosani's Nightmare, Melee Inferno, the Awakened bosses to mention a few. Well, the one combat achievement that was stopping me was the Perfect Theater. Not being an avid top enjoyer, Perfect Top was honestly what gate-kept my mentality for Grandmaster. I said, this is actually impossible, and I don't want to leave it for last and be stuck with it for weeks, months, or even forever. Thankfully, 2 of my good friends went on some Perfect Top runs with me, and thanks to their iron will, we were able to get it a lot faster than what I was personally expecting. After Perfect Top, the Floodgates opened, leading to a string of combat achievement completions I never really thought possible, or that I would never want to do at the very least. What you're about to see is a list of remaining CAs, and I will show them to you in order of difficulty. This is obviously subjective, and I will give you a little explanation for each of them, as well as why I found them particularly hard when applicable. Of course, it wouldn't be a Grandmaster video without a little help from one of my good pals. Perfect Olm Trio is the first on the list because when I showed the list of remaining CAs to the biggest Cox enjoyer in our community, he told me to bring the hardcore and see if he could do a perfect solo Olm scaled to 3 people. Like I said before, I absolutely hate chambers, so there's no universe in which I would have said no to this one. I'm pretty sure it wouldn't have been difficult if me and a team tried, but CMs are just reclined content and the brain just gets turned off when going into the big white lizard. Up next we have all of the Royal Titans combat achievements. For this one, and the many others you will see coming up, I ventured into the depths of the CA Discord. I had heard of some bad comments about this place, but honestly I didn't really have any problem with any of the teams I found. Even if someone failed a combat achievement, things always remained quite civil and friendly. These were honestly a ton of fun, and none of them had us resetting like degenerates. Kills go by pretty quickly, and you only need to go out and resupply in case you were low on HP or prayer. Getting all 6 of the remaining combat achievements took us around 20 or 30 minutes, and I stayed a little bit longer to help my teammate with a few of them I already had. It looks like karma was not on my side this time, because he got the pet halfway through the grind, and all I had to do was say grats and keep defeating the giants as I was silently crying. Overall, other than the speed combat achievements, all of these were pretty fun and will give mid-game players that sense of encouragement to attempt other bosses and to do harder challenges in the hard and elite tier. Probably the shortest grind on this list was for the Weikoatl. I had all the combat achievements done for this boss except for the perfect one and speedrunning times. Because I remember when the combat achievements came out, there was something weird with the perfect CAs or something, so I put it off for a while. After finding 2 great players on the CA Discord to get the speed times, I went to the mass world for a few KCs and get the perfect one out of the way for the green log. Alright, and now we start the list with actually difficult and challenging combat achievements, and first off we have Defense Matters. For this, you need to defeat Grardor twice without taking any damage from his minions, and this is as simple as doing 1 kill normally, off-ticking the minions, and getting to the rhythm of prayer flicking to avoid damage. Grardor will hit you from time to time, but nothing some combo food can't fix. This one took about 10 minutes, and I don't really know why I left it for one of the absolute last ones. Nihilus Sniper was relatively simple for my team. I say my team not because I got carried, but because when the Nihilus spawned, it took me a few seconds to realize that I had the attack option hidden on the blue spiders, and I was not able to attack them. All you gotta do is wait for them to be susceptible to magic damage, and kill them before they explode. This will happen during P2 and P3, so you gotta be quick on the magic weapon switches and pray that they do not spawn near you. We move on to the Tombs of a Mascot for Fancy Feet. I had tried this one a long time ago, but using a Voidwaker special failed the CA, which tilted me, and I didn't really want to do it until recently. To do this, you must be wearing a melee weapon at all times during the final part of the Wardens. This one is not as punishing and you're allowed to make mistakes, but remember to summon a melee thrall to help you out. I think I was told that a mage or range thrall can fail the combat achievements, but honestly I was not even going to try it and fuck up the run. Remember to avoid using Voidwaker specials for this and to close out the fight. Harder mode 2 was not necessarily difficult, but the fact that you and the team have to be almost tick perfect for Zarpus is extremely nerve-wracking. You cannot step on any of the exhumed, since you will have to defeat Zarpus at full health, and no one on the team can take any damage from any source. Thanks to a YouTube guide detailing how to do this with a blowpipe, this combat achievement only took 2 attempts. The reason for this is that the first time around, I was way too nervous and I attacked Zarpus when it was looking at me right at the beginning of the enraged phase. I felt extremely bad, but the team was nice enough to go on another run, and we got it without anyone making any mistakes. I will bundle 4 combat achievements into one here, and it's for top speeds in groups of 3, 4, and 5. Not much needs to be said about this one, other than for some scales, people might want to do P-neck at bloat to do 1 down, and the Godbook technique for each person to perform 3 staff specials for the Verzik fight. These didn't feel particularly hard because I was running with a group of absolutely cracked gamers, and with good RNG it may be possible to avoid P-necking at bloat, and just do the Godbook tech to have a nice and fast Verzik to get the job done. Somewhere along the CA hunt, I got the combined KC for 150 for both a regular and a hard mode TOB, and I don't have this one on recording because it must have been either a failed attempt or a casual night of running with the boys. If you guys watched the Tasty's video going over the top 10 most difficult combat achievements in the game, he put Perfection of Het as one of the toughest ones on the road to Grandmaster.
Number 4, coming in as the hardest combat achievement in all of Tombs of Amascut, is Perfection of Het. It's genuinely exhausting to even describe. Keeping this up perfectly and then doing the orb phase without taking a single hit, both of you, it's agonizing.
I will go ahead and say that I am super biased about this one, because it took a single attempt when my duo and I headed into the enraged phase. We did have a few resets for Ake himself, but when those white orbs spawned for the first time, we locked in and sealed the deal flawlessly.
That's it.
That's it, man. Oi. Okay, chill. Got it. Oh my lord. Nah. No fucking way it's that easy, bro. Let's fucking go, man.
Holy
What the
shit.
fuck, man? Wait, this guy's fucking insane. Look at him.
This would be the perfect time to show you one of our chests for one of the failed combat achievements we were going for.
I'm coming back, don't worry, man. Oh my god! Oh my fucking god, dude!
Let's fucking go!
No fucking
Bro.
way! There's no fucking way!
Oh my
Oh
god!
my god! I joined the clan again!
Oh my lord.
Oh my god.
We go back to the Theater of Blood for Mauritania only. Even with the pals from our server and the Combat Achievement Discord, this one took a little bit longer because you are limited to a Gotham's War Spear, a Carol's Crossbow, and an Aaron Staff. And for those freaky enough, a full set of Varrocs, which was actually doing the job quite nicely. I thought you needed a full set of Barrows, but turns out the Combat Achievement is pretty lax. Just avoid wearing any armor that doesn't come from their chest, and pray to God that you do enough damage during P3. Challenge Mode Chamber's 5-man speedrun wasn't necessarily hard since we got it one and done. But I have it here because the window of completion was a lot tighter than I was expecting. Even when all of us prepared our own potions, we were going fast enough to head into Ulm with a very good chance of getting the CA. The team just needs to make their time in every room as efficiently as possible, and if everyone concentrates during Ulm to unload as much damage as they can, they will be good to go. So far, I would say that none of the combat achievements we have seen feel like they are locked behind gear. Despite the Theater of Blood speedrun times still feeling close, the fact that they are shorter makes them feel more achievable even if at least one person on the team doesn't have a scythe. For Challenge Mode Chamber's 5 speedrun though, it actually felt like it was kinda locked behind powerful weapons, but maybe I was being a little slow on some parts. Pretty much the hardest part of the Grandmaster experience that wasn't necessarily a combat achievement was finding a team to run the Tombs of Amascut speedrun times. I want to give a special shout out to Moldgoat Kirby's Discord, since he and his community help players get this combat achievements pretty often, and he even does it on his stream. Even if it's not on stream though, getting 7 other players to do this with actually took a while. From the moment I started chasing this one to me completing it, I think I was waiting for a ping to find people to run this with for about 4 or 5 days. It feels even more complicated because there's tech for every room, for which you use the red Kaoz, the red crossbow, vengeance, and the many more little optimizations. This one took 2 real attempts as I failed a 1, but I still got the time for one of the speedruns. One of the combat achievements which was breaking my mental was packed like a yak. For some odd reason, seeing Versic tornadoes was absolutely frying my brain, and I started running around like a headless chicken. It felt even worse because I was going into the room with 6 brews, and any big heals pretty much spelled failure for our team. This was one of the last 3 I needed to get, and all I could think of was, so close yet so far, when I kept trying. I know this list is subjective and cracked gamers can one and done this, no problem, but for me, it was a big struggle to keep calm during that final phase. Starting the top 3, we have a combination of achievements being Perfect Wardens and Insanity. These are identical, the only difference being that Perfect Wardens can be done in normals, and Insanity has to be done in expert mode. If you don't have either of these, and if you send a 300 difficulty raid, you will be getting both of these at the same time, like I did. This one also took a few attempts with a partner I found on the Combat Achievement Discord. It didn't really break my mental as much as Pack Like a Yak did, because I told myself that TOA is something I actually enjoy doing, and it kept me motivated to get it without losing my cool. After a few attempts, we actually got the God Run going. Everything went well on P1, P2, P3, and finally that enraged phase at the very end. If this one is giving you trouble, you can try doing what I personally do for P4. Move around every single tick to avoid the lightning, and only attack when you hear the first set of lightning striking down. For this one, I didn't use the Void Waker to fully concentrate on not taking any damage, and after getting our completion, it felt like a big weight was off my shoulders, since Tombs of a Mascot tab was fully green. The second hardest or most annoying combat achievement was Personal Space. It shouldn't really be difficult, but I ran this with 3 different teams, and unfortunate situations kept happening which just brought my mental down, and I kept planking to fuck up the team. Luckily though, 2 of my pals who had already done this before ventured in with me one final time to secure the KC. This one felt particularly bad because we had to redo Maiden every time, and there were times in which even Maiden was giving us trouble because of the frustration just kept setting in. In the future, I'm down to help any of my pals with combat achievements, but this one is the one I would hesitate on repeating because I now have PTSD thanks to it. And like most of you guessed it, the most difficult combat achievement out of the ones I had left in my personal opinion was the Perfect Theater. We comboed this with Perfect Versic since I had never done it either, and if you remember what I said at the beginning of the video, this was the one CA which prevented me from going hard on the combat achievements due to how impossible it seemed before my attempts. I didn't want to be stuck with this as the final one on the list, because it would have felt awful being gatekept by a group activity that fails if a person on your team makes a single mistake. And honestly, I didn't want to be that person which threw 30 or so minutes of progress down the drain. During our final run, I was the one tanking Versic, and as you can see in the footage, I was chancing a few melee hits for which I was yelling my boys to get off. When the final hit happened, the Perfect Theater was conquered, and it unlocked my willingness to grind the rest of the combat achievements. With this, and the ones I mentioned at the beginning, I knew anything was possible.
It's on Kaoz.
Get off, get off, get off. Mage.
Killer.
No, it's okay, that's okay.
We're good.
Dead.
No
That's
way,
it,
no
that's
way,
it.
no way, no way.
That's it.
Nah.
Yes, sir!
Fucking God.
Yes, sir!
Oh my God.
Never worked.
Oh my lord. Yeah.
Yeah, on Kaoz is MVP too, man. Can't
Oh, MVP for me? Nah. Yo.
Yes.
Oh my fucking God.
Alex have money, of course, man. Why not? Sure. 1 mil? Motherfucker gave me 1 mil? Like...
What? I can't fucking believe it, bro.
Dude, Dwonko's just so ungrateful.
No
man.
way. You know how some people have honorable mentions at the end of their list or something? Well, before I show you the actual 2 final achievements we got on stream, I will do the opposite and show you my dishonorable mentions. I say this because I understand people might look at this as cringe, but I will tell you why I personally don't care about it, and why you shouldn't care if you do this. And that is because I paid for help to complete Harder Mode 3 and HMT Trio Speedrun. These were two of the last 3 I needed along Pack Like a Yak. In reality, I still had to get 50 HMT KC and kill Kriara with the Salamander, but I left those last since they technically don't require any skill, and I wanted to save them for a stream. The phrase "so close yet so far" makes a return, and I was so incredibly close to Grandmaster that when my friends were helping me out for this one, I got excessively nervous and I just couldn't clutch it out. I am absolutely not blaming my friends who were helping me out, but I am so pessimistic that I thought that every failed attempt was just me wasting their time. Instead of me going like, "We can do this next, let's fucking go," every time I failed, because it was literally me dying or failing every time, dark thoughts came to my head about being a burden, and I simply could not bring myself to disappoint my teammates anymore. Just like I said in my Inferno video from around 3 years ago, if you ever see someone trying to devalue your achievements for one reason or another, don't let that get to your head. I mean, don't get me wrong, to this day, it's still an ongoing meme that I have a Mickey Mouse Grandmaster helmet because of the boost, but really, do these 2 boosts simply disregard everything else I've done? I personally don't think so. So all that being said, after this grueling process, I left both the Kriara kill with the Salamander and the 50 HMT KC for one of my streams, and I got to close out the Grandmaster adventure with a meme combat achievement, as well as the one I ran with my good pals that helped along the way. For the Kriara KC, I went in with a max the best in slot melee and got it pretty quickly when the Salamander was actually able to hit. One of my biggest worries was actually dying during the final HMT KC, because I didn't want to get Grandmaster in a fucking cage. Not so fun fact, one of my friends let me know that he was being messaged by a few people in our clan offering money to chance a melee at Versic and actually get me killed. Thankfully, Kuji is a real one and didn't accept any bribes, and he's also not a rat since he refused to tell me who was asking him to do that, for me to write their names on my special list. People on stream were nice enough to attend my Grandmaster party, claiming that Zuck helmet and the golden Avernic defender from the weird creature at the Warriors Guild. From here on out, it's only a matter of time until Jagex releases new content, aside from Yama and the Otso Ayak, and see what crazy challenges they might have in store for us Grandmasters, and reclaim our Zuck helmet whenever combat achievements make their way into the server. So ladies and gentlemen, that's pretty much it for this video. I hope you enjoyed and you learned something useful. If you did, tell me which combat achievement you think is the most difficult and why, and if you include the term RSN and your username in your comment, you'll be entered in our weekly bond giveaway, for which we will pick a winner on Friday's stream. I want to give a massive thank you to all the wonderful people you see on this list for supporting this project monetarily. Your contributions help me feed my family, and donate to a local animal shelter every month to give puppies food, medicine, and even toys. If you want to be part of this list of legends, click the join button below to see all the cool perks you can get for a monthly subscription, in the videos, in the live streams, and of course in the Discord. In the next one, we will go over Yama, the newest endgame duo boss dropping this upcoming Wednesday. For now, I hope you have an amazing day, have an amazing week, and I will see you then. Peace.